What's going on, everyone? About 68% of stocks in the S&P 500 closed down in the red today. And as we can see by looking at today's heat map, it was a boring, choppy day where a lot of stocks didn't really move that much. Even looking at ticker symbol SPY, it was only up today by 0.05%. So in today's video, we're going to cover how to navigate a choppy market like this, some of the most important stocks for tomorrow, and some key events that are developing right now and that are having a big impact already on the market, as well as some important events scheduled for the rest of this week. So we have a lot of great stuff to talk about today, and Tom's back with us, so let's jump right into it.
Yeah, and today was pretty choppy out of the overall market, but I'm glad to be back, guys. And looking at the market overall, Mike, it was a nice choppy day. I'm glad that we looked at the heat map there, and you can see a sea of red and just a sea of chop all throughout the market. Now, you can go ahead and nitpick a couple things, like Nvidia was up 4%. If you go look at them today, looking pretty good, right? You can also go look at SMCI. They had a pretty good day, being up 6%. But overall, when you go to SPY's chart on the price action, pretty choppy, and it just kind of coiled throughout the day. It was in a pretty good wedge, and I had a pretty good trend line that it bounced off of multiple times before finally breaking right before the market closes. Right, it chose to broke right whenever everyone had to quit trading. But nonetheless, I'll be looking at this setup going into tomorrow in a pretty big way. SPY's holding support right around 530 to 531, so it's holding there very well right now. But that's going to be on watch for tomorrow. And Mike, we're starting to see crude oil heat up as tensions are rising around the world, and it looks like the U.S. is sending a carrier group out to that area.
Yeah, so like we talked about a lot last week, tensions in the Middle East are rising, and the situation appears to be getting only worse over there. So we can see by this headline, the U.S. is sending more forces and military hardware to the Middle East in anticipation of an Iranian attack on Israel. Basically, there are a lot of fears that you guys could just say the situation in that part of the world is going to heat up quite a bit. Iran said that they are going to retaliate against Israel, but they are yet to do anything so far. As we look at the market, we're seeing crude oil as well as the price of gold start to make some pretty momentum-filled moves, which says a lot because if there were more tensions in the Middle East and more problems, that definitely has the ability to skyrocket oil prices, and at the same time, events like this cause fear, not only just in I guess you could just say in a market sense, but also just in a broader world sense, and that causes people to invest into safe haven assets like gold, silver, and other things like that. The main thing to know is that as these tensions in the Middle East continue to escalate and worsen, oil prices and gold have a lot to gain from that, and they are already starting to move in a momentum-filled way. As Tom pulled up, we could see crude oil prices pop today by more than 4%, and this will be something that will be very important to keep in mind, not only for this week in terms of potential short-term trade opportunities, but as we shift over into this week's economic schedule, we can see that we have inflation data set to release 1 hour before the market opens on Wednesday. And this will be extremely important because not only will this data move the market a lot this week, but if we do see oil prices start to rise in a major way, that will increase the inflation rate in the coming months. In that case, bringing, I guess you could say, an interesting scenario that we have to the market and Jerome Powell and everything else, because inflation has been the biggest concerns, one of the biggest concerns in the market over the past couple of years, and we're finally getting to that point where it's kind of just slowing down, but we want to make sure that it stays suppressed, and oil prices are one of the biggest risks to that.
Inflation is a huge topic whenever you're talking about stocks, especially lately. And of course, sometimes whenever Powell talks, he brings up oil quite a bit. Sometimes they even bring up core inflation, which excludes food and energy. And that's a pretty big deal. That's why they bring stuff like that up. But nonetheless, Mike, looking at oil here on the daily chart, I know a couple weeks ago, everybody was kind of like scratching their heads. They were like, what's going on with oil? We got the tensions heating up and crude oil is starting to fall down a little bit. Now we're pushing past $80 just a few days later, double bottoming off of a crucial support right around 73 to 74. So overall, the setup's looking pretty good on oil, Mike, and the buyers are definitely coming in the short term. Now, if we go over to like oil stocks like Oxy, CVX, and etc., a lot of those are actually sitting pretty low in the short term. I know that ZOM has been one of the better ones. And if I was going to pick an oil stock to trade in the short term, personally, I'm going with ZOM, Mike. I don't know about you, but it's had a lot better price action. And it's sitting right around this key like 120 mark, which is a pretty good resistance in the short term as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether you look at XOM or OXY or, XLE as an energy ETF, there's a lot of different ways to play this oil move. And there's actually a couple of them that we're going to talk about pretty deeply as the video goes on, because the big money has been in this move as well. But either way, keep a very close eye on energy, or I guess you could say the whole energy sector, not only for this week, but over these next couple of weeks, because things are definitely heating up in this side of the market, and we want everyone to be prepared ahead of time. But either way, keep this area close on watch. But another thing that a lot of traders' eyes are on is the earnings schedule for the week. While most big tech stocks are behind us now, there are still a couple exciting reports for the week. Home Depot will report tomorrow before market open, as well as SE, which is C Limited. But as the week goes on, Thursday before open, we have a pretty nice lineup as we have Baba, Walmart, and JD all set to report.
Yeah, that's going to be a big day. Thursday is personally my favorite day. I love Walmart in the short term. And, Baba and JD have been kind of blasting off in the short term as well. Tuesday is pretty big with Home Depot. Cisco, I'm sure a lot of people will be trading that one. But for the most part, Mike, earnings is slowing down a little bit. I think most of the larger tech stocks are past us, but, we do still have some of these small players like Baba later in the week, which actually had a pretty good day today. And I know we'll be mentioning them later, but nonetheless, Mike, it's always interesting whenever you look at the earnings calendar. And I know everybody out there always wants to play earnings, and guys, just keep in mind, if you do it, it is pretty risky, obviously. Everybody's always like, how is this earnings going to go? Like, guys, it's honestly a coin flip at the end of the day.
Yeah, wait until after the report, where that way you could get a much better deal on the options, but you could also get I guess you could have a much higher degree of confidence in terms of the stock's direction. But either way, Tom, a lot of people are looking at the market as a whole right now. They're looking at SPY, and they're seeing that it's pretty choppy. And while it has recovered a lot from the lows of last week, it's still, pretty weak relative to the all-time high. Looking at SPY right now, what would you say are the key levels in both directions for the rest of the week and for tomorrow?
Yeah, so for tomorrow, there's a pretty big support coming up the intraday today, right around 531 even, and that's essentially the low of this morning. The SPY sold off right at open and ended up bouncing right off of that 531 mark. So if we pull under 531, then keep your eyes on 530 and then 528 underneath there. To the upside, though, there's some pretty big intraday resistance today that I was looking at all day, right around 533.25. If we open up well above that tomorrow and we start pushing up towards 535, which is the next major resistance I have, then I'll go ahead and look at SPY to the upside. But those are a couple levels there, Mike. 535 to the upside would be pretty big to break. It's right around the high of day today. And like, if we do break that and start to get the run, I'll be watching for 537 and then 540 coming up. 540 should be a pretty major resistance. We saw 530 hold up almost all week last week. So I'm going to use that as major support this week as well.
Sounds great. All right, well, Tom, I think we are all set and ready to get into the good stuff for today, which are some setups and predictions. A stock I'm watching very closely right now is ticker symbol BNO, and this is actually a big money trade from a couple weeks ago, and we can see that BNO had a phenomenal day today as it popped up by almost 3%, and just the other week we covered a $4 million call option play with this one for the 33 strike calls for October October 18th of 2024. BNO is starting to trend in a pretty strong way, and BNO follows the price of Brent oil, which has certainly a lot to gain if tensions continue to get out of hand in the Middle East. But looking at BNO, it's making higher lows as well, and it's not yet to the point where it's extremely overextended. So it's like uptrending in a strong way, but I'm not really too worried about it getting again overextended, which makes me like the setup even more. But either way, BNO is on my upside radar, not just for tomorrow, but more so like over like the next couple of trading days to even like the next couple trading weeks. I like it as like more of like a swing play.
Yeah, me too. BNO is pretty interesting. And I know we talked about this one, obviously with the big money play and it dipped down a little bit in the short term. But this just comes to the importance of like, you got to give these big money plays the time that they deserve, right? Oil is a very volatile sector. And like BNO is looking awesome in the short term coming back. And that was a pretty big money play. I know we call them all big money plays, but to me, anything like 20 or 2.5 million or higher is kind of like more on the radar, so to say. So BNO is definitely one of the more interesting ones from the short term. With my first play of the day, I'm looking at AMD back to the upsides. This is a bit of a weird setup. AMD's been dipping a lot in the short term. Today, they were up 1.86%. And, while the market was choppy overall, the chip stocks had some pretty good movement this morning. And for the most part, they closed up green. So I'm going to be looking for another break tomorrow of 138. If we break that, then I'll be looking for the 140 push on AMD. But I really want to see 138 break first.
Sounds great. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is GOLD, which is Barrick Gold. Looking at this, basically Barrick Gold had a great day today as it popped up on earnings, and it's over 9%. But what's even better to see is the intraday price action where the stock like barely pulled back, and anytime it did pull back, it was pretty quick to retest highs and just put constant pressure on them. What this ultimately shows is that there is a lot of buying pressure with the stock right now, and the bullish pressure is just strong and it's consistent, which is a great thing to see. Looking at GOLD, it also has broader effects helping it as well, like how gold prices are getting closer and closer to their record highs, and as well as the fact that the increasing tensions in the Middle East only, further incentivizes investors to rotate into gold and other safe haven like assets. So either way, Barrick Gold, ticker symbol GOLD, is on my upside radar over the next couple days, and I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw a retest of recent highs closer like to that 1950 area.
Yeah, that would be huge. I mean, that is a big level there, Mike. And, Barrick Gold's been kind of choppy down here for a long time, and it looks like it's starting to do very well on this uptrend. We might start to break above some of these resistances. I've been watching the gold all-time high very carefully, just waiting for this to break, especially on this next test. This could be pretty fun, especially with all the tensions going on. And of course, prayers go out to everybody with all the tensions and everything there. But, it does make for some interesting opportunities in the stock market nonetheless. But with my next play, Mike, I'm looking at Tesla. And with Tesla, we got to look at the book map again, because guess what? They're still around $200. They just cannot get any good momentum above that level. They keep doing it in pre-market, but then by the time the market opens, it ends up coming right back. But essentially, I'm looking for a pullback under 195 with Tesla for tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and point to some of these supports. And we also have a pretty good thing to show on the book map here with Tesla as well. So looking at the book map, $200 is a huge resistance, as we've talked about over the past couple of weeks, and we're starting to see rejections below there. I'm going to use that as resistance, and 195 is major support. So if we end up breaking below 195, there could be a larger sell-off, in my opinion, and a lot of those people that have been looking to, go long in the short term might start to get a little scared in the short term and look to sell out. So I'm definitely going to be watching this very closely at 195. If we get a good break, then I'll be looking at the breakdown opportunity. But overall, Mike, Tesla's been a pretty strange stock lately. They were down a lot this year. They've been coming back. Now they're right back in the middle of the range. So they'll have to make a decision here around 200.
No doubt. And as we look at that Tesla book map a little bit more in depth, we can see that there is a giant sell wall right at that $200 price point. So keep that close in mind for tomorrow. But as the market continues to heat up and move in more and more volatile ways, or even on choppy days, Bookmap definitely shows its value, because as many traders saw today, before the move even happened, there was a strong sell wall at that $200 level. So if you've always been wanting to try out Bookmap, you can save using that first link in the description and the comments down below. When you use the StockedUp link, you will save as a special offers box appears. So feel free to try out Bookmap. Now's a great time with the current market conditions. But Tom, I think we are all set for today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have Uber to the upside.
Yeah, Uber's been doing really good in the short term on this recovery, and they're sitting right around resistance. So if they break above 69.50, then keep watching them up.
All right. With the next one, we have Rivian to the downside.
Uh-oh, not good when you talk about Rivian down, but they are right around key support as well. If they break under 13.20, then watch for more selling pressure.
All right. And then with the last one, we have Bank of America also to the downside.
Yeah, we had that big money play on Bank of America a little while ago. It's been coming back and recovering a little bit the past few days, but it's rejecting off resistance. If it ends up falling back under $38, then watch Bank of America back down.
Sounds good. I know in yesterday's video, I actually mentioned the levels you listed when you weren't even there, but we're going to get them right today. But basically, looking at Bank of America and Rivian, we have the downside levels that Tom listed. So if these stocks break below those levels, we are looking at these plays to the downside. And then we have the upside play as well with Uber. So if Uber breaks above that level, then it is on watch for a potential bullish play tomorrow. But either way, these three stocks are momentum plays, so the stronger and more consistent they move, the better the setups become. So keep them close on watch for tomorrow. And besides that, let's jump right into today's $688,000 big money trade. And we are looking at ticker symbol GDX. So another gold-related ETF. Basically, the big money today traded the 40 strike call options that expire on October 18th of 2024. Looking at this call play, basically GDX had a pretty strong day today, and it is an ETF of gold mining stocks. Looking at GDX, it has been uptrending pretty continuously, and these call options have a good amount of time, which is a good sign. The only, I guess you could say, major drawback with this option that I see is that the strike price is the 40 strike, which is a little bit far out of the money. So that does increase the chance that this option could be a covered call by the big money. Either way, looking at GDX, there are multiple key reasons to continue to boost the price of gold, you can say, as well as just from a charting standpoint. It has been uptrending in a strong way, and it's kind of just starting to recover off of its recent dip. GDX will be an ETF worth watching very closely, not only over the course of the rest of this week and for next week, but especially over these next couple months as all of the, I guess you could say, world events continue to play out.
Yeah, and that would be huge if we started to see gold break its all-time highs. I mean, just imagine the buying pressure that would start to come into these miners and then even the ETFs like this one. We'll see, I think, a lot of good inflows into gold if that happens. And then, we're seeing the tensions just add more fuel to the fire. The U.S. started sending this strike force, so to say, there. I saw a lot of stuff, Mike, F-35C fighter jets. There were some submarines that have, guided missile systems on them and stuff like that. So very interesting stuff there. But yeah, GDX is a good big money play. I thought that the last big money play on gold was like one of the best snipes that we've seen, right? They almost picked the exact bottom on that gold big money play, and this was the one that I'm talking about from August 6th. There's been a couple gold ones lately, but GLD from August 6th was perfect. I'm going to draw an arrow pretty much to the day that they sniped the bottom on that, and it's been doing really good since. So I'm definitely going to watch GDX closely. Now, of course, just because GLD did so good doesn't mean to go all in or anything like that on GDX. I see that too much in the comments, Mike. They're like, oh, the last gold big money play popped off, I'm going all in this one. Still stay consistent and smart there.
Always. But yeah, as we look at everything right now, it'll be important to be aware of days where the market is just choppy and boring, kind of like today. The market, again, didn't really do anything. And when the market's not doing anything, don't feel the need to risk your hard-earned money in a trade that just doesn't deserve it, right? Like if there's not real momentum and there's not like a genuinely good opportunity, it could be a better decision to just not trade at all rather than force some trade that isn't truly an A-plus setup. So definitely keep that in mind for the rest of this week. Again, we do have some pretty important inflation data set to release on Wednesday before market open. So that will add some more, I guess you could say, heat to the market, some nice momentum, you can say. So definitely look forward to that. But if you guys are new to the channel, consider demolishing that subscribe button to get our videos recommended to you more often. In every single video, we cover the most important news, information, setups, big money trades, and more to know about. It takes us hours to make these videos, and we cover everything you have to know. So consider subscribing to get our videos recommended to you more often. But besides that, we want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Corey from Philly in the StockedUp trading floor. They had a great post today with GLD, which was awesome to see, as well as some SPY action as well. But you've been a great member of the community, so huge shout out to you and keep up the great work. Besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's have an amazing week in the market.